I got a lot of neat stuff, but if I had to boil it down to just a few books, if I were stuck in an island somewhere, I'll show you. I did want to share this really cool thing though. I did it with airbrush when I was at college. Cool, huh? Neat, huh? That's using an airbrush. It's a Niwata Eclipse. These are all my pencils here. Let's take a look. Somebody told me they stopped making these. It's too bad. That's my old portfolio. Just drawings I had when I was in high school. Yeah, just a ton of old sketchbooks. Okay, well, anyway, I'll be reviewing the probably 4 books that I get stuck with. I have these crazy, I have this really thick book on anatomy. This one's nuts. I even have one on like a doctor book, man, where you get to see like the actual anatomy of like real people. I mean, this is how hardcore I went, and had I had to do it again, I would have never picked up those books. So I'm gonna save you guys a ton of money, in my opinion, a ton of money, and really like specific guidance. What, in my opinion, the only books you need to know. Again, these are all my opinions. All right, so these are the books that I recommend, right there. If I was stuck in an island and I was left with these books, I'd be all good. I spent way too much money. I own way too many books just to find out that in my lifetime, I would say I've boiled it down to this. This is the essence of my education. And I'll break it down. Okay, that's book number 1. This is the book. So, just like anything, right? Like in terms of foundation, you want to. All right, so in order for you to like write books or whatever, you need a foundation. You need the ABCs, right? So I'm saying this book will teach you the ABCs of drawing. All right, this is book 1. Okay, this is my recommendation. This is what worked for me. Had I had to go to the past and save myself money and time, I'd have said, look at it like this. All right. All right. The number one thing to really keep in mind is this section. Man, this section's so important. Okay, and I'll explain why. Okay. All of this is applicable to the body. Okay. Well, I mean, that's exactly what this guy's talking about. What I think happens is it gets lost. Like, I don't see it in work anymore. The only artist to do this is still Frank Frazetta. He does a great job in doing this, and I'll explain. So let's say we're drawing a hand, right? So I'll draw an arm. This is clearly bone, the little cluster of bones. Okay. All right. So now what I'm doing here is, and this is just a fast sketch. I'm not trying to do anything pretty with it, but what I'm trying to do here is say this is our bone. That's the cluster of little bones there. Here's our knuckles. Some anatomy here. Bones. Okay. My point is that I'm not just doing something like this. And then somehow there's a hand that just like, I don't know, miraculously appears, you know, like it just swooped in there. You know, I'm trying to avoid that. Like, what I'm doing is it's like ball and socket stuff. Like, like things will work. Like that is a bone. Like this is a ball. Like there are things that are underneath that skin. Like the back of a head, for an example. The back of a head isn't just a swoop thing that does this, and then you have like that's not what it is. It's more complicated than that. In fact, it's more sophisticated than that. It's definitely, we have the back of the head. Spinal cord, right? It goes inside here, just like picture a hose, right? Going inside. I don't know, like a box, right? Like this is a real thing that goes inside. That's what's happening here. It's not just this swoopy thing that says it's the back of the head. It's definitely a machine. You know, we are a machine underneath. So if I grab that, then I would. There's a skull, like it fits inside an orbital. This is the eyebrow. And then right when there's bone here, we have cartilage that's nose, right? Makes up our nose. Back of our head. And then here we have our throat. So there's all these little muscles. It's just not a straightforward thing that you do that. Like there is structure involved. And that's what appeals to me about Frank's work. And this is what he's trying to teach you here in this book. He's trying to say, remember this. This is how the body works. And I think considering this, putting that in all the joints, all the fingers, it all applies. And throughout the whole book, you see that. So, like I said, this is the ABCs of stuff. This book is the only book, in my opinion, of all of the anatomy books that show this part here in the forehead. That is just so cool. And do you see that little slight thing here? I mean, it's very interesting. Like what he's doing there is he's showing that the both hemispheres of the brain are right there. I mean, to the point where I needed to get a real skull to see how much of this is real. So I went to this school called the Pasadena Art Center, as in like I went to go visit the school. I didn't attend the school. And I thought that was just so interesting that this artist would add the two hemispheres of the brain. So let me go ahead and get you that skull. Okay. So here's my skull. I got it from the Pasadena Art Center. It's like $60. It's not a real skull, but the goal was to try to see, is this guy's observation right? And he was right. I mean, you can sort of see it, but it's right there. Look at that. The right lighting, you can totally see it. Look at where it cuts right there, the orbital. You see it right there, too. He cuts it the same place. So cool. And as for the two hemispheres of the brain, you know, it didn't work out for me. I bought it like this. So let's take a look inside, huh? That's where the brain would sit. It's nuts. Look at that. Well, there it is. Look at that. See that little crest right there? That's cool. So there it is. And that's where the spinal cord goes into. And look at that. It's all there for a reason. This is all there for a reason. So I needed to get one, look at it, understand it, and see how we're built. I'm very thorough. I like to learn. I like to see why. I wanted to know where the little lumps and bumps were about. And this book helped me understand that. He did a great job really emphasizing those areas and breaking them down to like real simple terms. Look, isn't that great? So it's awesome. And just so you guys can see, oh, this is a really nice illustration too. He does it right there. It's nice. Look how he's so thorough. Look how he breaks it down, even the top part of the skull. And you know how I drew this part too? Like, see how this part is doing this and it goes up and down, right? So I'll tell you what all this is about. See the top of the skull? Like, see that? It's right there. See that little thing? That's that first part. That's the second part. Okay. And then obviously here's the third part. So there's like 1, 2, 3. There's 3 parts. All I'm doing is exaggerating it a bit. So I don't do something swoopy like this, right? Where my stuff is like, you know, like, yeah, right. Let's give it some personality. So that's why when I see in Frazetta's drawing and he does these little things like that right there, that's the good stuff. That's what I learned. That's what's in that book from Stephen Roger Peck. See that little pivot? See that little one right there too? That's all from this stuff. So that little pivot right there, that's from this right here when it starts to lock, see? I stopped right here where the nose is right there because that's where the bone stops and then cartilage begins. So when I draw, like if I were to draw a nose, it would go like this, swoop this way, and that's where I toy around and mess with it. See, it's all based off real anatomy. And then this part here, oh, that's that part, see? And then the back of the head, well, that's all this part, see? Of course, I pushed it a little bit more. All right. Let's keep looking at this book. So it gets into bones, how they're curved, the direction of the bones when they are aligned, both bones. See, it's all really detailed stuff. And what was exciting about that was I saw a lot of that stuff in Frazetta's work. I didn't see it in anybody else's work. And we'll pull the reference now, just so you guys can see. Okay, it's right here. Look at that leg. Look at that leg. And it's this one here that I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at the way it's curved. Okay, let's check it. I'm gonna draw that same leg. So this is what I see. I see there's a little bump right there, a little bump right there. It curves. This curves. It has a calf muscle and it does that. Okay. And then the rest of the foot. Okay. Look at that. Isn't that great? And I don't think this book was published when Frank was alive. That's what's crazy how good his observation was. So let's look at that leg. So it's pretty much that right there, that little triangle thing there, that little ball that we see right there, and then it curves. Well, Stephen Roger Peck really rocked because he did it's not just a full curve, he did a little, concave thingy there, right? Frank simplified it. And then look, you see the anatomy there, and you see, that's so cool. So when I saw this book, I was like, this is a great book. It's great because mind you, we're not even in anatomy yet. This is just the bones and the curves, the surfaces of things. So that's super exciting. This is like more anatomy stuff. Now he's adding anatomy onto the bones. Isn't that great? So, great book. And it does this for the arms, it does this for the mouth, the face. Look at that. It gets really into the nose. Great book. Let's take out the arms. Biceps. The way the triceps work is great. Now, what I like about the book is that it helps you understand it in many ways, like even with graphic shapes, see? Just so he can prove his point, okay? And also look at that, the humerus bone, and you get to see like why it's curved, why the back of our, this is the shoulder, and what happens when, our arm is bent, a fist. Now, is this actual accurate anatomy? I don't go to this book for that. But I go to this book for is to help me understand it in these really simple ways. How bone alone shapes the leg, and then what happens when you actually have anatomy. So those are two different things. Actual anatomy, it's not for me. It's not the best, okay? So, yeah, but it does help you understand the jawline, why draw. Anyway, this is a great book. Check that out. Okay, so strength training anatomy book. This book will show you actual muscle direction, like how they actually insert with the bone, how it works out. This is excellent. This definitely, I would say, is the best book on what happens, when you work out a certain muscle, and how the artists describe the muscles, which is just perfect. And I'll show you why else this is one of my favorite books. There's a few little details that are in here. Don't let this cartoony thing, turn you off. But the truth is hands down the best one. This here's the Bridgman book. Now check this out. Yeah. See that leg? All right, and I'm gonna do a couple drawings to show you a little bit more. Look at that leg. Look at these legs. Okay, so this book was really confusing to know. Okay, it's a great book, but it's advanced, like real advanced. And the part that gets a lot of people is, hold on. Well, the part that got me was that I'm a very literal person, so I want to know why things are the way they are. So you look at the shape of that leg right there. This is what he's doing. So he's doing this, then he's going boom. That is radical. Okay, that's crazy. Look at the angle of that. That's nuts. It's right here. Boom, 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 boom. That's nuts. In the Peck book, the last book I just showed, it's very conservative. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, look, it's not that crazy. They're definitely not. He's not definitely like pushing it that much. Look, I mean, look at the bones here. Here, I'll do a drawing on top of that. Look at the way those bones align. He has one like that. He has one like that. Okay, so it's kind of like a two sticks on top of each other. All right. What this guy's doing is this. He's not doing two sticks on top of each other. He's doing this. And he's calling it a foot. I mean, that's nuts. Okay? That's what he's doing. Now I thought, that's crazy. I'm here to draw this stuff like for reals. Like that's just a little too nuts. He does it more here. And he gives off this example there. You see it right there. Angle's not as hardcore, but it is there. So I thought, is that real? Is this real? Well, this book is great for that. Check this out. Look, it's right there. Turns out it is. And they tell you why. What happens when you work out certain muscles or like your diet, and now that can get your legs to start looking like this. That's just cool. And I learned to appreciate the Bridgman book a little bit more because I was like, oh, so this guy's actually like, this is like for real stuff, that it's at an angle like that. See, it's right there. It's at an angle. It's for real. So that's great, you know. And then he talks about, you know, like again, diet, how you work out the muscle, and you know, he compares it to like apes. And small details like that, like bodybuilders is sometimes they'll rip their tendon and not know it. And he's pointing that out here. This one's a ripped tendon from the bicep. This one's not. And he's pointing it out there too. Just these little details that make this book, in my opinion, excellent book. So you want to go to this book for anatomy, like actual like muscle fibers going into bones and stuff. This is excellent. Okay. The next book It's not this book. This is the last book. This is like the master book. It's like the One Ring to rule them all. The next book is How to Draw the Marble Way. This is by an artist called John Buscema. And this guy covers, my opinion, beautiful poses and design. And I'll show you what I mean by that. He definitely covers a lot of like the ABC sort of way of drawing. And I would say what I got from this book, I'll show you. So let's look at this book. So when it comes to push poses, there's nobody better than John Buscema. Period. It's my opinion. So look how natural this pose looks, first of all. Just look how natural it looks. But let's really examine what the heck is going on. Are you not seeing this foot? Look at this foot. It just comes to a point like this. And his heel. And that's it. That's it. Look. That's a foot. That's nuts. Look, he does it here too. John doesn't talk about design in this book. And I don't think he knew he was doing it naturally either. But it's in the it's all over the place. Look at how small. Look, it's pretty much a little point. And our eyes accept the fact that it's a foot. Let's take away this foot and see what it looks like. It still feels natural. But look, it's just a little point. So I started looking into the way he composes comics. He has this little piece here. This part here. Look at. Simple this is. It's just design. Look at his leg. It's great. John's a designer, and I've never seen poses push like this. Yeah, it's just awesome. Awesome. And he's watching this book. It's one of the many reasons why I still like pencil and paper today. Images like that, that's pencil, that's graphite with paper. It's just great. So they touch upon caricature, a lot of cool stuff. So John Buscema. When it comes to pushed poses, he's the guy, and he talks about it here too with an example he had of Dr. Doom. It's just basic concepts like how to push a pose to give it more power. Like this one here. Like, how do you make that more powerful? You just spread those legs open. Like, just that simple concept. It's amazing. And all of a sudden, you do get something more powerful. Look at tamed. And then look, you just open it up a bit. So let's just take that concept, right? Let's get like a regular guy. Now let's open these up. Crazy, right? It's just such a simple concept, you know, and I'm using the framework that he does with like negative spaces, just simple to help your design, you know. So we can, because roughing it out and filling it out and doing a gesture is important, but part of your ABCs, in my opinion. So it's like this. Your ABCs is bones, anatomy. This is what we covered. Design, right? And then the last one is It's going to be this last book, the Bridgman book. But ultimately, in the end, once you know all of these and you master all of these, the end thing is to scribble. Like, just feel it out. When you're scribbling like this, that's implying you get it. You understand. Like, you can take that and you can say, okay, yeah, I can put that on model. I can make a beautiful drawing, right? And you can like turn it over, right? And then just I mean, the idea is that you don't have a drawing problem after that. Right? You can take a scribble and do something with it because you have a great foundation, a great education on stuff. I would say a lot of artists that teach anatomy and all this stuff, they teach you to do this first. Makes absolutely no sense. No sense. That's like asking you to like write a novel and not know the ABCs. This is your ABC. Learn this stuff first. Learn this stuff first, then learn to forget about it. Depend on your scribbling, and then count on the foundation and the skills that you have to make sense of this. That makes the most sense. All right, let's keep going. This is still the ABCs though. I'm still talking about all this stuff. All right, so the next one is gonna be this book, right? So this book is beautiful. This is the Bridgman book, and this already implies that you know a lot of like the bones and muscles already, because that's exactly what he's doing here. He's talking about bones. I mean, he's drawing them. He's not even talking about them, but he's drawing them. Okay. I mean, that little line right there, that clearly is a bone. Okay. Pelvic line, everything. It's all in here. So there's no way you can just give you this book and say, hey, now you can draw. No, there's a lot in here. And also how to look at things in like dimensional shapes, which is great. Okay, so then we get to the face, which is super important. This is one that I really want to bring up because out of all the books, I think the one everyone's questioning right now is how's that little manga book any good? Well, I'm going to explain it. Okay, check this out. See all that stuff? All right, off the bat, I'm sure a lot of you cringe, say, oh man, I don't want to learn that. I know when I first saw it, I was like, oh geez, man, look at that. That's crazy. That's nuts. Like, that's a lot of work. And let me tell you, this book is intimidating, okay? In that sense, that it's like, oh my God. So what did I do? Man, I buckled down. I said, all right, I'm gonna eat my vegetables. I'm gonna have to sit down and learn it. I also saw this in the John Buscema book. Yeah, I saw it here too. And it hurt my head just looking at it. And that's the goal, right? So let me go ahead and do a couple drawings. So the idea is that we know it like this. Then we take it further. You can tell, if I don't know if you can tell, but I spent years just doing this. Telling myself I have to eat my vegetables, I have to learn this stuff if I want to be a good artist. Okay. Was it fun? It was not fun. It was a lot of work, and I like to have fun. So eventually, I learned to be fun once I learned it, and did all of that. But then I ran into this book that made it look fun. And I was like, oh my God, had I started with this book, I think I would have enjoyed it more. Okay. Anyway, right? So I got to learn my ABCs. I got to, right, I got to learn how to move the head in angles. Again, I consider this like eating my vegetables. So I can be a healthy young man who knows his foundation, right? And then eventually you turn it over, you do these nice, beautiful drawings because I know how to do that stuff, right? Okay. So the book that helped me make it fun, and I found this a couple years ago actually. I found this 4 years ago. Was this book. Man, had I had this book, I would have enjoyed it. So when I show people this, they're like, "Are you serious, man? Are you serious?" I'm like, "I'm dead serious." Check it out. Look at that. When I saw that image right there, that is really cool. That is very sophisticated stuff. That is this arithmetic looking thing here. Except this looks intimidating. It makes me feel stupid, and it makes me feel like I'm gonna quit because I think I don't understand those one, twos, and threes, and the math that he put involved in there is hurting my head, and I don't think it's for me. Yeah, what this book made it look like they're gonna show you basically how to have fun with it, and then look. So what this guy's doing is building robots. That makes absolute sense. And look, by building and having fun doing a robot, you're learning your planes, how to describe lips, mouth, nose. In fact, he even took it further than what's in that book by making robots. So this whole time, I could have been just making up cool robots and having a great time. See, look at that chin. Look at that. He even turned it. Look at it, it's right there too. And this is coming from a little manga book. Jeez. And I like how it goes further. Like, look at that. How to break down the nose, mouth, how to get creative. And you're thinking in planes. See? This is this is pretty much like eating your vegetables, but with like sugar on top. It's like saying, hey, have some Doritos. It's the same as having your vegetables. Look at that. Real nose. It's just interesting. Man, so if I had to do this all over again, look at that. Look how cool that looks. And then let's put a piece of paper on top of that. And let's draw on it. Let's just take that. I know it's a robot, but it has the foundation of great drawing. Look at that. So cool. And they even do this with the figure. Like with the arm. Look at the arm. If you want to learn how to draw hands, you draw hands like this. Tubes and stuff. That makes the most sense. And you remember that stuff I was saying like in the beginning of the book with the Roger Peck book? And I'll pull it out again. Remember that stuff? Like the stuff. I mean, this is the right stuff. Again, your vegetables, but I mean, right? It's like, when do I incorporate that? Well, this little manga book does it right here. Look at that. So you know, like, that's the shoulder, that's the elbow, that's the wrist. I mean, and then he does it here too, in different varieties. And it's fun. In the end of the day, you're building a cool robot. So build a human machine. That's all it is. And look, you learn perspective on along the way. And look, they have the foot right there, and he breaks it down, and he even turns it into a machine. It's brilliant, brilliant. And so whenever anybody asks, like, hey, you know, what are one of the first books? To get this little manga book. It'll help you out. Look, it's cool. I figure it's not all too great, but this is the stuff right there. Yeah, look at that back right there. That's pretty cool. So you learn this stuff, learn to draw the planes. You'll be on your way to mastering your ABCs and drawing, and it definitely makes it more fun, and to be looking at stuff like this, you know. But it's interesting because if you keep looking through this book, that's what he's trying to do, you know, making gears and stuff like that, and just trying to teach us how to look at the body like a human machine. That manga book just built the machine. And so if I was stuck in an island with a couple books, that would be it. All right, well, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you want me to do more or cover more, I'd be happy to. But that's my opinion. That's what worked for me, and I hope it works for you. Thanks.